West Ham United take on Aston Villa in the Premier League at London Stadium. It's a Sunday 2 p.m. kickoff. We're recording this late morning on Saturday, the day before. Ben, how are you?
I'm good, mate. Yeah. All getting ready for the Christmas festivities, and looking forward to the game tomorrow. Hopefully we get a good performance and hopefully 3 points.
Yeah, it's not going to be an easy one. I mean, I suppose, obviously, since our last broadcast, we've had a little bit of an upturn in form and to a lesser degree, I'd say, results. In my opinion, you may feel differently, and the people watching this might have a different view on it. But we're facing a Villa team who are in absolutely amazing form. I had a look on the Premier League website. They've won their last 5 matches. I mean, bloody hell. I mean, this is not going to be an easy task by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, do you know what, Rob? I watched Villa a little bit at the beginning of the season, and they were struggling, mate. They were like really down near the bottom of the table, and they just looked. And I remember one of the commentators. They looked completely stale. Like, do you know what I mean? It was like they hadn't really brought many new players in, and it just looked like it was all a bit boring and predictable. And I actually looked at them and I thought, well, Emery could be under a bit of pressure unless they liven themselves up, which obviously they absolutely have. But you know what, Rob? I don't look at their side. I mean, look, I don't analyse Villa's team, but I don't look at their team and think it's a particularly great team. Do you know? I think they know what they're doing. You know, everyone knows their roles, and I think they put in a good shift. But I think if you looked at their team on paper and our team on paper, you wouldn't think that, you know, one team's in the relegation zone and one team is third in the league. But it's those small margins, isn't it? Because actually, I think if all of a sudden, if you put Ollie Watkins in our team, like if you took 3 of their better players and put them in our team, all of a sudden we might be near the top of the table. Do you know what I mean? So it's all hypothetical. But one thing is for sure, it's going to be a very difficult game. But do you know what? I actually feel like we don't have a bad record against Villa. I'm not basing that on any particular stats that I've seen, but I just feel like we don't do bad against Villa generally. So hopefully that continues.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, the beginning of the season, I don't think they'd scored a goal in like the first 3 or 4 games even.
That's it.
And when you consider the striking talent that they've obviously got, I mean, Watkins being the main man up top really was quite a surprise. And same as you, I did start to think, hold on, how's that going to play out, sort of thing. But yeah, it's going to be a tough challenge. And obviously this will be, I know the passing of former West Ham United captain, 2-time FA Cup lifting captain Billy Bonds was announced on literally the hours before the Liverpool game, and it didn't really give the club much of a chance, I felt, to really sort of put together what I would consider to be anything close to being an adequate tribute, because there just wasn't enough time to sort of do all the bits and pieces that probably the club would have liked to have done. I think as well tomorrow there will be that in place, if so to speak. I think there will be more of an emphasis on recognising the passing of the former West Ham United captain. So it'd be interesting as well to see how that plays a part in things, because of course, when there's, I always find it's one of these things that could go one or two ways. When you've got something that happens that's got quite an emotional element to it, like this, it can either inspire the fans and thereby inspire the team, or it's a little bit the opposite, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I've got to be honest, Rob. Obviously, right cut up about Bonzo. But I wasn't expecting anything more. Like, do you get what I mean? Because even though I know, you know, they did do something. They've done a minute's applause. I'm not a fan of that. I prefer a minute's silence, if I'm honest. I think that has a more poignant impact for me. And you know, Bowen done the thing with the shirt. So I wasn't really thinking about that they're going to do anything more tomorrow, because they've done it. But you know, hopefully I'm wrong. But I know what you mean. It can go either way. But yeah, let's hope tomorrow it goes the right way.
So, give me your thoughts, Ben, on obviously you've sort of said about Villa's start to the season and their amazing recovery into where they are now, which, as I look at the Premier League table, they're in the heady heights of third, which, like I say, when you consider that where they were like 3-4 games in, where they were rock bottom and hadn't scored a goal, is quite some turnaround from Unai Emery. And so who do you believe is the key player for Aston Villa? Or do they even have one?
Do you know what, Rob? I'm just looking at my phone because I just want to have a quick look at the last lineup that they put out. Yeah, so yeah, do you know what? They seem to be one. They don't have a standout player for me because they have quite a few really good players. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So Tielemans is obviously a talented player. Morgan Rogers is like obviously he's now getting in the England squad. Watkins, Andre Onana, so that like the goalie's a good goalie. Do you know what I mean? So across their team, they are a good side. But look, I don't think we've got a good defence at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in the main, yeah.
100%.
But I look at their defence and I think Matty Cash, Ezri Konsa, Pau Torres, and Ian Matson doesn't seem like an amazing defence to me. But obviously, like that's individually, but obviously as a unit, they know what to do. So I look, I think they're just. I actually think it's quite a poor Premier League season this season. And I look at their side and I think that's not a third in the place team, in my opinion, but that's where they are because everyone's so inconsistent that if you can get that consistency, which they are doing, and churn out results, then you've got a chance. But it's like anything, all it takes is Ollie Watkins to go out. Then all of a sudden, I'm not sure they've got much depth up front. Do you know what I mean? So it's going to be a tough game. Obviously, they're off the back of a really great win against Arsenal in the last minute. So I think they're going to be very confident. But as you alluded to, Rob, we haven't been on for a little while. And our results and performances have taken a bit of an upturn, albeit we're still in the bottom three because everyone, it's going to be very hard for us to get out the bottom three, I believe. Yeah, because it goes to show we've gone on quite a good run. Yeah, picking up a point, getting a win, and we're still in the bottom three. And that's because the other people around us are fucking doing exactly the same as us and just chipping away. Obviously, no one really would have expected Leeds to beat Chelsea, but they beat them quite comfortably from what I can gather. So that's the thing, Rob. The other teams are picking up results that you wouldn't expect them to pick up. Yeah. Yep. So we've got to start doing that. So no one's going to expect us to beat Villa based on the form table and the league table. Yep. So this is where we've got to fucking go out and do the unexpected.
Yeah, and it will be unexpected for me. Like I say, Villa, good team, great form. I think they've got a fantastic manager who, in his first iteration as a Premier League manager, came in for a bit of stick. But let's remember, he followed in Arsene Wenger, who was a legend and did all sorts at the club. And it was always going to be a bit like Moyes when he went to Manchester United. It was always going to be a bit of unless he could come in, hit the ground running, he's on a hiding to nothing. He then comes in against Villa manager, obviously on the back of Steven Gerrard's reign, which was an unmitigated failure. And he's turned them around, and you look at them now, and it's like they're a million miles away from where they were 5 years or so ago when they were a championship team. Let's not forget that. So it's not that long ago. Who, in your opinion, Ben, as the West Ham contingent, and before I get into that, I probably should, before we go into it, probably go into a little bit of the injury news potentially for both teams. So just to sort of, give you a little bit of an insight into some of the players that may actually not be available tomorrow potentially. Now, I don't think that on our side of things there's really too much to worry about because the two players that, according to the resources that I'm looking at, are not going to be available or are very doubtful are Lucas Fabianski and Igor Julio. Now, forgive me, I love Fabianski, but he's basically a goalkeeper who's our training goalkeeper. He's our goalkeeping coach unofficially, I suppose. And Julio is not really someone that's done too much since he's come in. As for Aston Villa, I've got here, it says Tyrone Mings and Ross Barkley are both out. If you don't look at this, that's on Who Scored, though. When you look on the Premier League website, it does also mention two other names as players on the quotes unquote injury list, which are Emiliano Martinez and Pau Torres. Now, if even one of those two is confirmed as out, and knowing our luck, they'll probably both start. But if one or both of those are out, I mean, I would suggest that would massively, in my opinion, shift the balance of power slightly towards us, I would say.
Yeah, well, more towards us than it currently is, especially Martinez, because I think their backup goalie, who played a couple of games beginning of the season, looked like a fucking donkey, to be honest.
It wasn't Mads Hermansen in disguise, was it?
No, he was a donkey, but he was over fucking 5'3". So it definitely weren't Mads Hermansen. So yeah. No, mate, that'd be regardless of that, they'll probably end up playing. But if one of them's out, that'd be a bit of a result. I mean, I'm going off on a tangent. I mean, it's just fucking crazy, isn't it? You look at like, you have all these analysts in football, and at some point, do you know what someone said? Isn't he a bit small for a goalie? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And actually, Rob, that's what I read a little link just on Twitter, and I'm not saying every footballer in your team needs to be a 6'5" giant, yeah, because it's a game of football. But I did hear a little rumor that that's kind of why Nuno doesn't consider James Ward-Prowse, because he doesn't think that he's got the physical attributes to play in the central midfield. And I think that's quite a valid point. Like, because even though it's a game of football, you look, unless you're like a Xavi or an Iniesta, like, do you know what I mean? Having that physical prowess is an asset. And that's what I heard why Ward-Prowse isn't considered, because he just doesn't have the physical attributes that Nuno thinks you need to sit in the central of midfield.
Interesting. Who's the West Ham player, Ben, that you think needs to be at tip-top form for us to have any sort of chance of getting any sort of positive outcome?
Do you know what? I don't want to say it because I feel like I'm like the fucking fanboy, Freddie Potts fanboy.
You are?
No, do you know what? I'm not going to go for Freddie. I'm going to go for Callum Wilson. Yeah,
okay.
because he's in good form. He's had a rest. He didn't start the last game. Come on and got the assist straight away. And I just think, in order for us to get a successful result, we need to have that threat up the top of the pitch that he can give us if he's fit and on form. And I think he is fit and on form. Even though he's knocking on, actually the little run that he done a couple of little runs against Brighton. I think one for the assist, there was another one that he had that I thought, actually, he's still got some legs in him. Like, do you know what I mean? It didn't look like he's just a target man that can flick things on and he can't run, because he actually put a few nice runs together. And I think with a week's rest, I'm hoping that he can come in all guns blazing. Obviously, Bowen done really well in the second half against Brighton. Somerville's just coming back. So I think all of a sudden, if them three can get fit and firing, then we've got that threat up the top of the pitch to nick a goal.
Yep. No, I think he's look, he wasn't a signing that I think anybody looked at and thought, wow, that's going to be a key player for us this season. But here we are, and he definitely is, I would suggest, certainly at this moment in time, which probably shows you, with all due respect to Callum Wilson, just how far we've fallen over the last probably 18 months, 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, look, let me just finish eating this slice of bread.
Very unprofessional.
The thing is, right, everyone thought Wilson's coming in as the backup to Fulkrug.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, Fulkrug in pre-season nicked a few goals and he looked fit, and then come in, I think, and then he got injured and it's been stop-start. And then I think he's mentally, obviously we've got a new manager. I think mentally he's checked out.
Yep.
Yeah, because I feel like he's got injured and he's just thought, do you know what? This is a new country. I'm not settled. I'm not playing. And I think as a result, his levels have probably dropped 10, 20% in training. And as a result, we've got a fucking dead duck, like a total fucking dead duck. And we're having to rely on Callum Wilson as our main striker. And he's actually doing quite well, but it's not ideal at all.
No. Personally, I wouldn't involve Fulkrug, period. If he wants out, I only want a squad of committed, hungry players. I would rather have a player that wants to be there, that wants to give their all from the bench, rather than someone that's going to be sitting on the bench that doesn't really want to be there, has a bad attitude, and maybe if on a given day their quality is superior. But I would rather have Josh Landers on the bench. I would rather have a young, hungry, vibrant young kid who's maybe what they can contribute on the pitch maybe lesser, but it won't be, because they'll be putting their shoulder at the wheel and they'll be running, and they'll be sort of putting, really sort of like putting the commitment out there for all to see. Whereas Fulkrug, he's not going to give you that. So I don't understand, in my opinion, I don't understand why he's even involved in the fucking squads at the moment. He doesn't want to be there. Fine. Dump him off. Get him gone in January. Goodbye.
Yeah. I mean, look, the last game we played at home, who was that? I can't remember. Liverpool, right? He come on and he did put himself about a bit. Like, I think when he's coming on, the thing is, the frustrating thing with Fulkrug, when I've watched him for us, it's like, it's not for the want of trying. Like, do you know what I mean? He is putting himself about, but it's just not working. Like, it's just not, he doesn't seem to have, the quality's gone a little bit. So, look, that's an area.
Is that maybe tied in with, because I know what you're saying, but psychologically, is he going to be giving everything that he's got, knowing that he feels the way that he does about, we've heard the comments from his agent, and the comments from his agent must be sort of pretty closely aligned to the player's thoughts himself. So is he really, or is he just make good? Because there are players that can make it look like they're trying, when in reality they know they're making bad decisions, because they're putting themselves into areas of the pitch where they know that the chances of them receiving the ball are going to be quite slim. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, look, Rob, the reality is, if Fulkrug is on his game, he would be starting for us, wouldn't he? So he's obviously not doing something in training. And look, right, that showed a lot last week against Brighton, that we've rested Wilson and Fulkrug still don't fucking start. Yeah. So he's not even our second choice striker at the moment. We'd rather put Bowen up top and move people around than have Fulkrug in the side.
Says it all.
Yeah.
Says it all. What would be your starting 11, Ben?
Do you know what, mate? I'm going to go and I'll go through it. Yeah, Areola in goal. And do you know what? I've got a lot of fucking respect for Areola, because Potter mugged him off big time by literally, Areola had the whole of pre-season. Hermansen come in like days before start of the season, and then he was dropped. And he's fended off that competition. So I think respect to him. And he's been playing well the last month or two, since he come back in the side. The defence probably picked itself.
Would you go not three centre backs?
Oh no, sorry. Absolutely not. No. I'd go back to the flat back four. Also, what I will say, I've got to give Nuno some credit, because the team against Brighton, I thought, looked fucking shite. Yeah, I thought, we're just off the back of a good draw at Old Trafford. Why has he changed the midfield? Why has he gone to a back three? But we come out with a point. And actually, we played reasonably well. So I just think, actually, he does have a bit of tactical nous. I didn't think he did, but he obviously does. Yeah. But I'm going back to the back four. it's probably Wan-Bissaka, Mavropanos, Todibo, and Diouf.
So you drop out Kilman.
Kilman drops out. Do you know what? And I know some people might think I'm a bit weird. I'm actually looking forward to the African Cup of Nations. Not because I want to watch it, but even though I don't think they're doing bad enough to be dropped, I don't think Kyle Walker-Peters is any worse than Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And I think Ollie Scholes, people forget Ollie Scholes come in last year and put in some amazing performances at left back. At Arsenal, he got fucking man the match. People have forgotten about him and he's back. Let's be real. Diouf can't fucking defend, in my opinion. He's good going forward, but he's not a good defender. So I think it gives them two a chance to get some minutes under their belt, and I don't think they'll let us down. I'll then move into the midfield that I go with the same midfield three that started at Old Trafford. Potts at the base, Magassa and Fernandez. And all of a sudden, Rob, I think we've gone from having a really shit midfield to actually having a really good midfield.
So you'd go Potts as the defensive shield, not Magassa?
I think they could both. I think they both probably like that role. And I think either of them can. I think it's a bit interchangeable, but I would probably have. Yeah, I'd probably have Potts there, and then Magassa's got free reign to run up and down the pitch. He's probably slightly the better athlete from what I can see, and Fernandez seems to be getting better and better every game, and you're starting to realise why we spent 40 million on this lad, because he's obviously got a lot of ability. And what I like, Rob, is with those three, I feel like they can do a little bit of everything. Like none of them mind putting their foot in. That's what we was lacking. We was lacking legs, and people actually fucking don't mind crunching into a tackle. And I think all three of those will do that. And then I'm going to go front three: Somerville, Wilson, Bowen.
Okay, so Paquetá's dropping out.
100%. Yeah, I mean,
I know he wasn't involved in the Man United game, but he then came back for.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think Nuno will leave him out because he seems to really like him.
Yeah,
but for me, there's two aspects to this, and people might be surprised. I actually think the 11 that I've picked is a better side without Paquetá in the side. Yeah, I think in a midfield three, I think he's a liability and goes missing and won't put his foot in like the other lads are. I think so. In that case, for me, his best position is probably attacking left and cutting in.
Yep.
And in my opinion, Somerville's a fucking much better option than Paquetá. So in my mind, I don't think he's worthy of a place in the starting 11 based on his performances. And also, I just think that thing against Liverpool, I think he's a liability. It was just pathetic. And I think...
Do you also think, though, that Bowen's got to take a share of the responsibility there? Because I'm not being funny. I think a lot of people have made the accusation that Bowen's not a proper captain. And do you not think that a proper captain would have realised that he's pushing a very fine line here and I need to get him out of harm's way? A proper captain would have... Mark Noble absolutely would have realised what was going on and where he was going to sort of talk himself to an early bath. And he would have just grabbed hold of him and gone, you fucking get away and shut your fucking mouth. And Bowen didn't do that.
Oh, Rob, absolutely. That was one of the first things that I see. I couldn't believe what I was watching when Bowen is standing right fucking next to him. But Bowen's not even looking at Paquetá. He was talking to the ref as well, but obviously not in the same manner. Look, Bowen's, he does lead by example, but I don't think he's a vocal leader. And I don't think he's got the aggression that I want to see in a captain. He's equally as culpable, in my opinion, for that sending off, because he was right there. And as the captain, he's let one of our players talk himself into being sent off, and now we're struggling in the game. So, look, you're gonna. I'm telling you now, right? Probably not this season, But I'd have Freddie Potts captain next season, mate. 100%. No, it's look. There's. I don't like. This might sound funny. Bowen's an attacker and a winger. Yeah, I don't like my captain being out there. I agree. For me, your captain is centre back, central midfielder. They're the two. They're in the middle. They're barking the orders out. They're organising. You want someone that don't mind putting their foot in. Yeah, that will roll their sleeves up. Freddie Potts has got that. You want someone that knows the club and what it means as the fans. He's got that. I just feel like, maybe I'm championing it a little bit early, but I look at our side and I don't see those leaders in the side, and I think he would have that. If you went, right, I don't care how old you are, I'll make you captain. I guarantee it'd be straight away. You'd see that the leadership would come out in him because he's got that opportunity. So look, I know I'm going off on a slightly different subject there,
that's fine.
But look, I think we do lack leadership in the team, and I think that's apparent from where we are in the fucking league.
I agree, 100%. I think there's been situations like the Paquetá incident that I think a captain of the ilk of a Mark Noble or an Alvin Martin or a Billy Bonds, there's been situations that have been allowed to unfold on the pitch, the Paquetá incident being a case in point, that those captains of old would never have allowed to unfold. And yet, like you say, Bowen, I love him. He's given us many great moments and hopefully will continue to do for many, many years. But I've said it before, I'll say it again. A captain, he is not. And that was an example of it.
Yeah. No, that was a prime example of it. Rob, can I talk about two other
you can talk about subjects? What you want, mate. You can talk about whatever you want.
Right. Do you know what we've seen? This is a random one, yeah? But there's a few aspects we need to sharpen up as a team, yeah? Mm-hmm. What have we seen a resurgence of this season, yeah? The long throw.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, every team.
Set pieces as well.
Set pieces, yeah? Set pieces, long throws, yeah? Every team is pumping a long throw into the box, except us. We right. Someone needs to be in training, yeah? Again, everyone in the starting 11, right, for an hour, line up who's got the best long throw, and that's who's going to be on our long throws and using it as a weapon. Because we get to their fucking penalty box and we do a little 10-yard throw backwards. Everyone else is loading it up like a corner. Yeah. Right? Fucking, yeah. So I think we need to get someone with the fucking guns, right, to be fucking pumping the long throws into the box. And the other one was a minor one. I love the youth, right? George Murphy is back. He's fit. He's doing it for the under-21s. He needs an opportunity in the first team, mate. He was out on loan at Bristol City, done really well. They got to the fucking playoffs. Yeah. So he's at a top-end championship side and doing really well. And then he's in our reserves. That's no good for anyone. So I think either fucking give him a chance in the first team or loan him out again.
I think neither will happen because I think his contract's up in the summer. I think he'll go.
Well,
I hope I'm wrong, but what do I think will happen? I think that's what will happen.
I did hear that we have an option to extend that for a further year. But look, that's my only concern. After I heard that with Ward-Prowse, right, is that I could be wrong on what I've heard, but then Murphy's quite a slight lad, and I'm not sure he's the most robust physically, and whether he fits the mould of what Nuno's looking for. But then look at Somerville. Somerville's only small and quick and nippy, and now he plays in the same position as Murphy. So look, Nuno, he has given these young lads an opportunity. Obviously, Mayer's come on against Brighton. So look, I'm hopeful if they're showing up in training, they'll get a chance. But I do think Murphy has got a chance of being a good player for us. So I want to see him given a chance.
Yeah, I agree with you. But as I say, truth be told, I think what probably happened, I think he'll go at the end of the season. He'll be let go in all likelihood, especially if Nuno's the manager and if Nuno's got the leanings that you've alluded to, that he likes the players to be greater in stature and unless they're a Xavi or an Iniesta or a Messi, and those players are few and far between. Let's have it right. So I think it'll probably be that George Earthy will be, cheers, but you're not for me, and he'll be gone.
Okay,
but we'll see.
All right.
See. Any thoughts on the final score?
Do you know what, mate? I think we're going to nick it. Unsurprisingly, I'm going to say that. I think it might be. I think there might be some goals in this one. I'm going to say 3-2. And I'm going to say Wilson with 2 goals and Bowen with 1. So I think it could be a good game actually, and we'll come out with 3 points.
And be interesting to see, because obviously we're 2 points adrift, I think, of the team that's above us, which I believe is Nottingham Forest. Just having a little check here on the Premier League website. Yes, as things stand right now, we're 2 points above Forest. Now, Forest have Tottenham to play. I'm not sure if that's at the City Ground or whether that's at the toilet. I'm not quite sure, but I mean, so in theory, and our goal difference is inferior. So in theory, even a win isn't guaranteed to pull us out of the bottom. And this is what you was alluding to earlier, Ben, is this is the predicament that we're in, is even if we get a positive result. And I would actually consider against a team that's in 3rd place in the Premier League and have won their last 5 in the Premier League, I don't even think that a draw would be a negative result in the grand scheme of things. However, it would be a negative result because it would mean we're still in the bottom 3.
Yeah, mate. And you know what? This is how well, it's football for you, isn't it? Like, we could either, get out the relegation zone or go 5 points adrift. Conceivably, if they win and we lose, and all of a sudden 5 points, you're thinking, fucking hell, we're well out the equation. But things can change quickly. No one knows what's going to happen. But we got the fingers crossed.
Any final thoughts before we knock it on the head, bruv?
No, that's it from me, Rob. I've done enough talking, so hopefully.
Not like you.
What did we say before we come on air? Best not to talk, but to listen, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But you never listen to that anyway, so what the hell? So, anyway, guys, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you again soon. Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you.